Don't go anywhere. This is Jen Eggert from Ask an Autism Mom Live. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Ask an Autism Mom Live with Jen Eggert by LAKIKID. You can join us every Monday live to share tips, meet other parents, and share your insights. Today's show will be another exciting episode as we sit down and talk with Matt from Sensory Fitness. Matt is a certified occupational assistant who now owns his own sensory fitness gym program. If you know someone who would be interested in watching our show, please share now or tag them in the comments below. Remember, your sharing and tagging your friends is what brings people to the show. I want to welcome those of you watching, which there's none yet, but I know my friends, they'll be here in a minute. Actually, there are. It's showing funny. Okay. I want to welcome those of you watching live on Facebook or listening to the podcast on iTunes or YouTube. If you want to get alerts to join us live and ask questions live, you can visit lakikid.com/live. If you're just joining us, you're listening to Ask an Autism Mom show, and we're having an interesting discussion today about active seating. Active seating is becoming so popular that we brought on Matt to explain more. We can't wait to dig into this topic with you, but first we want to give a huge shout out to our sponsors. This show is brought to you by LAKIKID.com. LAKIKID provides quality sensory products to kids with special needs. Y'all know some of my favorite products. One of them is our marble maze, where you simply work the marble through the cloth maze to work on those fine motor skills. It has two different feelings, soft and a little bit of a more textured background. Hi, Jason. Welcome to the show. Hi to everyone. Angela, hi. Welcome. So again, if you're just joining us, you're listening to Ask an Autism Mom Live, and we're talking about active seating. Active seating is an amazing way to boost focus, engage your child, and make learning fun and active instead of just sitting learning passively. Matt is a certified occupational therapy assistant who specializes in sensory integration, working with a pediatric clinic. He also works with teachers to instill sensory strategies into their classrooms. Before becoming a certified occupational therapist assistant, he was a special education teacher working with kids with social, emotional, and behavioral disorders for 13 years. He was also an adaptive PE teacher and coached adaptive sports. He now runs a program called Sensory Fitness. It is a program that focuses on fitness for people with autism, SPD, ADHD, and other neurodiversities. Good morning, Matt, and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Jen. Thanks for having me.
1 second, Matt. I'm just going to see. Angela Hudo, I don't know why you can't see or hear anything. Please leave and come back on. The ball thing, you can order the ball thing at lakikid.com. That's where you can order anything you see on the show. Now, Matt, why is active seating so important?
Why is active seating important? Active seating it's an alternative to kind of the traditional setup of a classroom, whereas you'd have classes, desks in a row, and you'd be seated at your desk with your table in front of you and the teacher up front. It provides a bit more dynamic to the classroom to allow a lot more movement in the classroom. And that's really important. I'll talk about that in a minute. But it allows kids to, for a lot of reasons, kids might have difficulty sitting in a chair. This active seating provides an opportunity for kids to move around the classroom, to be on the floor, to be on different pieces of equipment, and provides a lot more movement within the classroom to help helps with attention, really, and in being engaged and active in the classroom. Yeah.
Great. Now, what exactly is active seating?
So active seating is, like I said, it's an alternative to kind of the traditional setup. It's providing movement. So think of like, your traditional seat. desks, the kids at a desk, like the old school ones we used to have. But allowing kids to sit in alternative seating. So maybe like a couch or a futon or a yoga ball, sitting on a stool high up. I've done some observation in classrooms. I've even seen a canoe in a classroom, which was kind of unique. Small spaces to sit in. Things that really, it's a movement, it's a sensory strategy, really. It's allowing movement in the classroom. So think of like a kid on a yoga ball with maybe a base that allows them to get some up and down movement. A wiggle stool or a wiggle button. Kids putting something in their chair allows them to kind of engage the kids that have core issues, to help them kind of wiggle about so they're not standing up to get that movement that they're seeking. Having kids just lay on the floor is also a possibility. It's not just equipment, it's allowing kids to kind of get comfortable and provide movement that they may be seeking, and providing some stability they might not have, providing some body awareness, which actually helps sustain attention and give them some support they might need if they're having difficulty paying attention in class. Hope I explained that well.
Right. Now, why is movement important?
Well, movement's important for a ton of reasons. It's important, all the way from being a baby all the way up to adulthood. Movement's important really in a classroom setting, specifically for a couple of reasons. One, it helps with movement in the classroom helps with auditory processing. It helps with language. Kids that may be slow processors, allowing some movement, it kind of helps activate that part of the brain. Helps with language retrieval. Helps kids that know the answers but they can't quite get to the language yet. Allowing that movement helps that organization. Allows them to kind of organize their thoughts in order to answer a question. Helps with focus. Helps with stimulate learning. It's just from a physical standpoint, it's also you're getting blood into the body, or you're releasing endorphins, and that's also important. There's kind of an epidemic now with kids with not getting enough movement for a ton of reasons, all the way from like being a baby through adolescence. Kids are just not getting the movements that they used to for a ton of reasons. I can get into that, but I think it's just safe to say that kids are just not getting the movement they used to inside of school and outside of school, at home, in the community. There's a lot more screen time. There's a lot less kids riding bikes, climbing trees. There's a ton of reasons why kids are not moving. But also, like in school, there's PE is taken away. Art is not taken away, but it's being reduced. Things like art, music, things where I'm using my hands and my mouth and physical, tangible opportunities to use my hands in the classroom are not as accessible as they used to be. My wife's a principal, so she understands the importance of direct instruction and cognitive learning, and I understand that. But sometimes it's the detriment of taking away that movement. Kids, sometimes kids get recess taken away as a consequence, or recess is shortened. So kids are just, again, they're not getting that opportunity to move their bodies. Also, another reason, because of that same reason, kids, as young developing kids, their core strength is just not there as much. I see it all the time. Kids, maybe labeled with something, some kind of neurodiversity, but a lot of time it could be like a physical aspect of their core just not being strong enough, and because of that, they're wiggling in their seats. They're not able to pay attention. Posture plays a lot into attention, and a lot of our kids, their cores are just not developed as they could be, and that plays into behaviors and stuff like that. So allowing movement for kids to be able to wiggle in their seats or get up and move around helps with that part of it, because if I don't have a strong core, moving is actually easier than being stagnant and still. So movement is super important. Across the lifespan, always never stop moving. But from a developmental point of view, it's crucial that kids get movement.
And Riley, everyone here knows I talk about my daughter a lot. Riley's teacher has actually found a really creative way to do these movements. She calls them brain breaks. And she simply uses their smart board, turns on a silly little song that has actions, and they sing along, and they gather on the carpet, and they sing and dance to these little songs. One of their favorites is that Kiki, Do You Love Me song, and What Does the Fox Say? She plays those two a lot. And just giving them that 2-3 minutes of that time to move. From watching in their classroom, I have seen a huge difference. They are all first graders. She's in a neurotypical classroom. And all the kids benefit. They come back to their seat and they're able to learn. Another fun way that they have incorporated movement that I'm in love with and Riley excels in is they call it grab math. When they're doing their math, they're sitting there and they'll have the question in front of them on the paper and it'll say 5 plus 3. Well, you have to grab the number 5 out of the air. So you actually physically have to move your whole body to take the number out of the air. And then you say you have 5, 6, 7, 8. So she tries to incorporate as much movement as she can. So that's just easy movements that Riley's teacher has found work well.
That's
now, Matt,
right.
What movements are best, do you find?
Well, I mean, movement in general is great. Again, if I'm looking at specific movements, I kind of want to look at the kid, and I want to look. I mean, let's say take kids individually. I want to look at their alert level. So, alert level is, think of like walking around through the day. Our alert level, where we want to be, is on the water. Okay, that's sea level is a great place to be. We can surf, we can fish, we can snorkel. That's a great place to be. We're at a nice even keel spot. That's where we want our kids to be, and it's a prime spot to be to learn. Now, we all fluctuate throughout the day, and that's what we're supposed to do. But if kids are having a consistent problem with their alert level, then we want to kind of put some strategies in place. So a kid on high alert level, think of him as skydiving, and he's way, his alert level is really high. He's having difficulty sitting in his seat. His eyes are shifting all over the place. He's disorganized. Maybe lots of talking, maybe lots of just wiggling around. That's our high alert system. So we want to bring our kid from high alert down to low, down to back to our sea level. There's also the other way, and I'm oversimplifying this, but there's two kind of kids I'm looking at as my high alert and my low alert. Low alert being like under the water, they're sluggish, they're laying on their desk, they're having a hard time getting going. The processing speed is a little bit slower. Just takes them a little bit while, a little bit longer to get going. So I want to look at their alert level. Again, I'm oversimplifying this just for time, but so specific movements can play an important role into how I want to bring my kid back to sea level, like that nice level playing field, whether they're high alert or low alert. If they're low alert, a lot of things I can do is things like for my active seating, I can get, well, let's forget about active seating, but I can get them up and moving. So I want to activate their vestibular system, and that's movement of my head. That is really, a lot of people think it's my whole body moving, but it's really the movement of my head. Think of maybe you're at a lower alert level and you're in line at the fair and you're about to get on a roller coaster with your kid and you're not really feeling it. Once you get on that roller coaster and you get off, your alert level's skyrocketing. You didn't do any physical work. Your vestibular system was totally activated. So that will increase your alert level. So ways I can do that in the classroom is maybe get a kid on a yoga ball and get them bouncing. I'm sitting on one right now. I can get them bouncing, so my head is moving up and down. Get them on a balance board, something to stand in the back of the class. So they're wiggling back and forth. Anything. The point of it is to get their bodies moving without too much like physical input, because that can actually have a different effect as well. But I want to get them up and moving. Maybe there's some jumping jacks. Maybe there's a lot of brain gym activities you can do. And using pieces of equipment, think of them. Maybe a rocking chair is a great way. So that I'm rocking back and forth. I'm getting that head moving. And then once my head is moving, once I get this motion going, then my alert level is increasing. If kind of on the opposite end, if I have a kid who has low alert level, I want to bring him back up to sea level. I'm sorry, excuse me. My bad, I just talked about that. A kid from a high alert level, I want to bring him back down. I want to give them some proprioception, and that is body input. Body awareness, knowing where my body is in space. Sometimes I don't know where my body is in space, and it's really dysregulating. It's really unorganized. Giving me some proprioception, giving me some, think of like heavy work. That getting that input to my body helps me get organized, helps me get clear thought, helps me calms my nervous system. So if I have a kid that's spinning, that is, their eyes are all over the place, they can't sit still, maybe I don't want to put them on a yoga ball. I mean, that's actually one you might as well. You got to know your kid, because not only am I getting that up and down movement, but I'm also getting the input from my legs, and I'm pushing. I'm actually doing a lot of heavy work doing that, so that might work. Again, that's when you got to know your kid. You got to weigh the options between equipment and stuff like that. But bringing a kid back down that is in high alert, giving them some heavy work to do, moving heavy things. Maybe they have the push-up break. You know, I'm getting a ton of input into all my muscles and my joints, and that's giving me a ton of body feedback, which is very organizing and very, very calming to the nervous system. I hope I answered that okay.
No, you did great. Angela, you're right. Angela has a son, and they do a lot of wall push-ups. He's a very high alert, busy guy.
Yes. Yeah, and wall push-ups are great. Even just like manipulatives, like something that you think of resistive work. So it doesn't have to be whole body movement either. It could also just be giving the kids some putty, giving them sometimes just busy hands. Also, I'm using my actual hands. Gum is a good one. Gum's actually one of those ones that can actually increase my alert level or decrease. It kind of depends, because I'm getting a lot of input, but it's right near the vestibulocochlear bone, so it's actually activate my vestibular system as well by chewing. So it's kind of the ones that it's a good safe bet to kind of chuck kids some gum.
Now, is movement good for just students with neurodiversities, or is it good for all students to partake in movement?
I mean, it's good for movement is good for everybody. I mean, if you think of the times you sit in a meeting or you're sitting in traffic for a long time, the longer I'm stagnant, the lower my alert level goes, right? So what do? You know, what do most people do? They start tapping their feet, they start wiggling in the chair, they get up, they start yawning. Your body starts to immediately seek that movement. And kids are, times 10, because depending, especially the young guys, elementary school age, those kids really, really need to move. I go on the philosophy of giving a movement break of every 15 minutes. Any kid with a sensory difficulty, give them every 5 to 10 minutes a movement break. I think it's crucial. And then as you know your kid, and you kind of know what works and what doesn't work. And you know what you can manage in your classroom. You know what equipment you have. You start to understand things. I think it's important to understand the philosophy and not just like, here's some equipment, this will help. Because you got to know how to use it and what works and what doesn't work. Because then it comes down to management of that equipment in the classroom, which can sometimes be difficult for a teacher.
Right. Now, I actually have, before we continue with the questions I have for you, I have an interesting one from Angela. Any suggestions for, I'm going to mess up this words. 1 minute, let me find it. Interoception issues?
Interoception?
I am sharing the question now so you can see the word.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Sorry. Let me explain a little cluttered. Yeah. So that is internal body awareness. Yeah. So maybe a kid doesn't know when they're hot or cold. Maybe they don't know if they're hungry. Maybe they suddenly they have to go to the bathroom and it's too late because they're just not aware of the movement. Of the feelings inside their body. So what you can do for that is body input, vestibular. So I'm going to give you just a quick rundown, but the three powerhouses in the sensory system are vestibular, tactile, and proprioception. You want to give a kid as much body input as you can. The more body input, and when I say is like have a kid like crawling, squeezing, pushing, lifting, give them a ton of heavy work to give them some body awareness. Maybe even getting them on a swing as well as giving them a ton of body awareness, right? Playing with sand and things like that, if they can handle that, is giving me body awareness. I'd say proprioception would be the one to go with as well, but you can kind of experiment. But the more body awareness I begin to have, the more input I'm getting into my body, the more I'll start to build that internal sensory system as well. Like interoception. I'll start to, oh, I do have to go to the bathroom because now I'm aware of the muscles and everything that makes everything operate inside my body. Hopefully that helps.
Angela, let me know if that answers your question. If not, let me know what other questions you have. Now, Matt, what is motor planning?
Motor planning is looking at an activity and kind of realizing the movements I have to make to be able to accomplish that activity. It's a piece of practice. So I see, let's say there's a glass of water there. I need to know that I have to take my hand, bring it over there, open my hand, close my hand, bring it up, bring it to mouth, use all the muscles of my mouth to be able to swallow that water. That's motor planning. Sometimes kids struggle with that motor planning piece due to lack of body awareness. If I don't know where my arm is in space, motor planning that is really difficult. So again, it kind of goes along the lines of the interoception question. Is giving kids body input helps with that. Helps with that motor planning piece. Movement. So it's not all of it, but it's a part of it. So the active seating in the classroom, if I'm on a yoga ball, I'm getting tons of body input, and that's just another piece of the puzzle to help teachers that may struggle with a kid in class due to motor planning.
Great. Now, I know now that you're no longer in the school system as a teacher, you have kind of branched out on your own and started a business called Sensory Fitness. Do you want to explain and describe to us what you do?
Yes, I do. I do fitness for kids with neurodiversities, generally kids with, well, I do fitness for everybody. It's not just kids. But that's kind of my focus is people with, on the autism spectrum, kids with sensory processing disorder, ADHD, and a lot of the kids I work with, they're not necessarily diagnosed with anything, but they haven't. Again, this is a big motor planning piece. They have just difficulty moving their bodies. They've had negative experiences with sports, with PE, with a lot of physical activities. A lot of them have spent a ton of time in front of the screen and just don't know their bodies that well. So I really work on like body awareness. I work on crossing midline. A lot of focus is on core, bilateral integration, using my hands together in the middle of my body. That's kind of my focus there. And as well, I also do kind of consultant work with schools. I go into schools and observe a kid that might be struggling and give some tips, either some sensory strategies or some just the things we talked about as well, the active seating piece, and just some strategies that might help that student in that classroom.
Wonderful. Now, Matt does have a website for his business. They are currently working on the website. I will be posting as soon as the website is up and running. I will add it to the introduction part of this video post, and I will be posting it into group. Now is one of my favorite parts of the show. Matt, I'm going to ask you some questions from our viewers.
Okay.
Let me just go back a little bit. The ball thing, all things that we have available right now are on our website, LAKIKID.com. So check that out. We are adding new products in the near future. And next week, I will actually be showing a brand new product that no one has seen yet. I know Matt has seen it because he's actually using it right now.
Oh, I'll keep it a secret.
So if you're interested in seeing what Matt is using right now, join me on Monday and I will be showing all. My son is a very high alert personality. Shannon, remember what he said about those high alert kids? They need that Matt, that's when you said like the push-ups and the heavy work, correct?
Yeah, that can help. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, think of heavy work, resistive work. Classroom's one thing, but if you're just talking about at home, have them jump off of if it's okay. Like one of the things that works well at home is crashing. So jumping off a couch and crashing into pillow, giving that impact, having them crawl through pillows or move. Maybe you can go do some wheelbarrowing outside. I don't know. You kind of got to look around your house. yeah, some heavy work. Push-ups is great. Things that I have to be resistive. I have to move. I have to give me some body input in that way. Shoveling, I don't know.
Everyone's going to laugh, but when Riley's having a rough day, one of her favorite things to do, and I don't mind, I happily hand it over, she'll take our Swiffer and mop my floors.
Yeah, that's resistive. That's very resistive. That push-pull is great.
Exactly. She loves it. It calms her down, and it cleans my floor, so it's a win-win for me.
And there's also an extra piece to that as well. Is sometimes kids at high alert have that there may be something going with their eyes, but they're shifting back and forth, and that's very dysregulating. Giving them activity like that is giving them something for their eyes to focus on, and that can help as well. Just giving their eyes a place to be, rather than just all getting sidetracked all over the place. So if I'm moving my body and I actually have a target, that's could just be one more piece of the puzzle.
Okay. Angela, I'm happy your question was answered. Sorry, I didn't know the word that you were trying to use, but we got through. Now, Alicia Stevens, with the school not agreeing to special education, put that in group, and we'll discuss different options for that, as that's a different topic. But you and I can discuss that in group. Now, does anyone else have any questions? Shannon said, thank you for the advice. So did Angela. Yes, Alicia, mopping and laundry. It's funny. Riley loves laundry too. So I don't mind. I'll take all the help with chores I can get at this point.
Yeah, right.
She helps more than the 14-year-old.
Sometimes you might even see, if you see a kid doing things, like a lot of kids will seek that out. You'll see them picking up the heavy water jugs at this grocery store or picking up heavy things. That's a good indicator. Oh, okay, he's seeking that. She's seeking that. I'm going to give that to them in a different way. Or the functional way is great. Have them do chores. Chores are awesome. Keeps them busy too. In your house clean.
Chores keep them busy. They make mom and dad happy because they don't have to do it. And
sometimes you got to redo them. They're learning. It's a functional skill.
Now, Matt, Jason has a question on what is your suggestion for my son who's having a hard time sitting still?
So if they're having a hard time sitting still, it could be for a lot of reasons. Let's say it's a sensory thing. They, if they're wiggling a lot, then give them that movement that he's seeking. And that depends on the kid and where your environment and a lot of other factors. But yeah, try to give your son as much movement as he can. They're wiggling for a reason. So let's find out what's going on there. I don't generally go to the camp if it's a behavior they're choosing to do that to misbehave. I look at it either as a skill deficit or it's physiological. They can't help it. So it's a foundational thing. So let's feed that. Let's get, if it's in the class, let's get them on a yoga ball bouncing up and down. This cool LAKIKID piece of equipment that I'm sitting on, or any of the strategies I mentioned earlier. Give them that movement that they're seeking, and in a non-disruptive way, as in the least restrictive environment as possible. As possible.
Now, would you recommend things like the wiggle seat, the wobble chair, and the fidget bands for kids with sitting still?
Absolutely. Yeah, I would start narrow, like give them a little bit of movement, and maybe sometimes that'll help, and kind of go and expand slowly and see. Maybe they need to put on a weighted vest and go run around. It kind of depends on the kid. Sometimes kids need that just hit that absolute threshold ceiling of like movement. Sometimes they need that, and it's hard to give that in a classroom. But if as a parent, if you see that happening a lot, where they're just nonstop movement, then we try to provide that in a lot of ways in all the environments, as many as possible.
Wonderful. Now, unfortunately, folks, it is time for me to close the show. Matt actually has another engagement today as well. So I want to thank everyone for watching. Matt, I really want to thank you for joining us. Maybe in the future you can join us about another topic.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'd love to.
And don't forget what I said. Next week, I'm going to actually break down what we provide for active seating, how to use it, how it can be beneficial, and I will talk to you about the brand new product that Matt was actually using today while we were talking. So again, don't forget to join me next Monday live at 1 p.m. Eastern for more parenting tips. Remember, you can always join our support group at lakikid.com/group. I will be in there all day today, off and on, in between Riley and some cooking and stuff. But I will be in there today. If you need anything, you know, you can always message me, and I'm always in group. I have wonderful moderators in group that also take your questions. Let me just quickly read through this questions. Chris, private message me about that, and we'll talk about that. Because I know you're going through a lot personally. So private message me and we'll work on that problem. Again, I want to thank all of you for joining me. I had a great time today. Really enjoyed today's topic with Matt. Next week, we'll expand on it more. Thank you for coming. Until next time, remember, every kid brings good luck.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, everybody.